My name is Kate Keegan. I'm a college and career counselor at Lindbergh High School, a large public high school in South County. Until recently, I was the only college and career counselor. Now we have a part-time college and career advisor, and we switched to SchooLinks I think this is our third year, and the experience thus far has been fantastic. I know that we don't use it to the potential that it has, but we are slowly getting there.
Just takes time.
Yes.
So you mentioned you've been using SchooLinks for 3 years. I think you used Naviance beforehand. What prompted the switch over?
We were just having some issues with Naviance and the connection with Common App. We were having a hard time. It wasn't working the way that it should. At the time, Clever wasn't an option, and students were having to remember logins and reset logins, and it was really difficult for the amount of students that we have to do that. And then I was often having to contact their support team and was having a really hard time either getting through or to get the answers that I needed.
Yeah, just takes a little too long.
Yes.
Did you guys switch over to, I think you mentioned Google single sign-on, right?
Yes.
How is that, just in general, the switch to the Google single sign-on, how's that impacted the experience for your students and staff?
Amazing, because it's one way that now they do everything with Google sign-on, and it has just made everything easier, and especially for this, because there's so many different platforms that students have to use now, like Canvas, Infant Campus, and SchooLinks. A lot of them now, when we're trying to transition so that students start really getting into SchooLinks starting in 9th grade. But now it's more like 11th and 12th, and we're not having to introduce another way to create, another platform where they have to create a new login or username and password.
That's great. Just thinking more about the student experience, how have they found SchooLinks to be, do they think it's more user-friendly?
They do. So, like I said, the students that are using it this year, they never had the experience of Naviance, so they can't compare it. But the last 2 years, they had been on Naviance, and students said that their experience with SchooLinks was so much easier, that the platform was much more user-friendly, and they felt comfortable getting on and looking for things on their own. So, the feedback we got was all positive.
Yeah, want to give them the independence to find things themselves, not
For sure.
have to wait for a classroom instruction to get into it.
For sure.
So are you using it for students then with the college application experience? I know you mentioned just a minute ago about like Common App and Naviance. What has the college application experience changed or shifted for you now that you've come to SchooLinks?
So that is predominantly what we use SchooLinks for at this point. Like I said, each year we're adding more and more of the capabilities, but it's much easier for students to understand on how to connect Common App to SchooLinks. SchooLinks does a good job of giving step-by-step instructions and taking the student right there to be able to connect the two more seamlessly. The requesting of transcripts is easier. I think sometimes it's so easy that students don't really understand that they've requested a transcript. So that's the only negative thing, but it's very seamless that students just add the application and then it requests all the things that counselors need to send. As far as sending things from a counselor's perspective or a teacher's, so much easier. Like it's just a click of a button. I'm not having to print off sheets or have spreadsheets about who needs to connect and who doesn't to SchooLink or to Common App. Very seamless. Teachers have really had positive feedback. For one, because they don't have to have a separate login, and teachers were very frustrated with that with Naviance, that they can do the single sign-on, and then just the ease of teachers being able to do the evaluations and uploading of their letters of recommendation.
Would you think that like just comparing previous years when you use like eDocs with Naviance with SchooLinks, has it just been a smoother process for teachers as well with just
for sure. Yeah. The teachers and what I like is that before, if a student filled out a resume or activities list or anything in Naviance, and I can't remember what it was called, teachers didn't have access to that. So students would have to print it out. Students have access to, or teachers have access to that information, which is nice.
That's great. It must help a lot with the letter of recommendation
Mm-hmm.
process.
Especially, like I
Yeah.
said, with the number of students we have.
Yeah. Are you using any of like the data to help, like specifically for the college application data? Are you using that at all to assist with like dual credit information, or do you have plans for tracking dual credit?
We do. We would love to do more. Our dual credit offerings have grown exponentially. So that is something that we'd like to start doing more of and tracking it in SchooLinks. Right now, we do a lot of reports just on where students are applying, where students are saying that they're interested in applying, so we know what information to get out to students, tracking to see how many students have applied places and who we need to talk to and figure out what their plans are. That's the same with and we can talk about, I'm sure you have questions about that, but about the career, we run a lot of reports on the Career Center as well.
Perfect. Before we jump into the Career Center, I kind of want to shift a little bit. I know you guys aren't using the personalized learning plans, but you are kind of addressing the Missouri ICAP requirements by creating a scope and sequence of activities that students do that kind of ties into the requirements for what activities students have to do to be college and career ready. Can you talk a little bit about like what was the process and the way you went about choosing the activities in the scope and sequence and how you're going through and meeting the ICAP requirements?
Yeah, so we met with a team of myself and the other counselors, the grade level counselors. We met to see which of the assessments, the career assessments that you have, which would be the best for each grade level to complete. So then to tie that in with the ICAP. So we have a separate Canvas page that we do with the ICAP, and we have the students, we've linked SchooLinks to them and then assigned different assessments for them to take each year to help with the ICAP process.
That's perfect. Hopefully it's a little bit easier now.
It is, and then we can run reports to see how many students have done them, how many haven't, who we need to find to make sure that they complete those assessments.
Makes it much faster too to track those kids down.
Yes.
Okay, so now tell me more about your Career Center and how you're utilizing that for tracking student career interests.
So, we have them to do these assessments, and then we talk to them about what the findings are. And then I like to show them the Career Center because there is a lot of great information. They can look to see what similar jobs are to what they're related, what they're in their related field, how much money they could potentially make, what the growth rate of those jobs are. So we, sit down and talk to students about all those findings from those assessments and show them that. And then we also run reports on what students are showing as the most, what are the most popular careers or intended careers. So then we can have guest speakers come in and tie the students to different things in the community that are related to those career fields.
That's fantastic. Do you think like students are going to start exploring more careers that they previously hadn't known about or had access to? Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Because one example I always use, students really want to get into the health professions, but they just know nurses and doctors. And, those are the jobs that they think of. But you can really take a deeper dive and look at other things that are beyond being a nurse or a doctor in the health professions. And so it really gives them an idea of what else is out there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's perfect. So just among what are some of your favorite platform features? So just of all the things that SchooLinks kind of provides, what's been standing out for you as your favorite part of the platform?
I do like the Career Center a lot. I just think it reminds me, I'm probably pulls from the Occupational Outlook Handbook, and that was one of my favorite websites that I used with students. So I really like that. Just the college application, anything that it provides has just been helpful. I do like that it also comes up with a balanced list. We don't use that as much as we should, but showing the, the reach and the goal schools. I've just discovered this year is adding like a counselor's list to like our 11th graders, and there's a parents list. So you can add schools where where I'm like, oh, this student should really look at this. And then they have their own list. So there's things like that I said that now that I'm having, every time I get to learn more, I do, and try to use those as well.
That's great. Well, thinking of that too, looking ahead, what are some of your goals with what you want to accomplish either next year or beyond that with your SchooLinks?
Oh, Sarah, every year I just, every year I look at something else and I just am like, oh, we should do this. So don't have any specifics right now, but I am sure that I could give you some once I
Yeah.
look through and see all the things that are offered.
Well, do your parents know about it? I'm sure they know about it, but I don't know if they use it or not.
We do talk a lot about SchooLinks. It's in our newsletters. I'm having a presentation tomorrow night for 11th grade parents, and we'll talk a lot about SchooLinks. Some parents do ask for their own accounts, and we do that. A lot of them, I think, just our population of parents log in as their students or with their students, but parents definitely do know about SchooLinks.
That's great. Well, last question I have for you now is just what ways do you think it's impacted and had hopefully a holistic support of helping your students with their post-secondary planning?
I think it's helped a lot. I mean, like I said, students are now seeing what other offerings there are out there. Like if there's a certain career, with that career center, it shows like here's the minimum educations that is required. Here's some schools that you could look at that has that degree. Here's the major. If you're thinking on that, here's a list of majors. So I think it really has helped students just kind of streamline this whole process because there are so many little details that go into it. And it really has helped like streamline the process.
That's great. And I forgot one last question for you.
Sure.
Since this is going to be an audience of other Missouri school districts, is there anything you want to share with them, either about like if they're in this like in between process or if they're trying to decide what to go for? Would you have any like words of wisdom or lessons learned that you want to share with them?
Yes. Well, at first, I would like to say the customer service is just amazing. Like that has been the biggest thing. I mean, there's always going to be questions that come up. There's always going to be something that you don't love. The customer service, anybody that I've chatted with has been super helpful. If I provide a suggestion, they really look into it and then either move forward with the suggestion or they'll explain to me why it can't be something that's implemented. So the customer service has been just well worth it.